everyone, it's Julia. Last week I shared a trip to my local thrift store, and I'll link that down below for you if you missed that trip. But I found this really cool panel, fabric panel. It was $3.99. I'm going to share all the information on it. I'm not sure if it's still available, but that information will be down in the description. I want to make a fabric collage wall hanging using this panel. And I have a piece, just a muslin, and then I'm going to use a warm and natural batting. And then I have a navy print for the backing of it. I'm using this Steam a Seam 2, which is a light paperback adhesive that I'm going to be using to put some adhesive on the back of my pieces. I do like using this adhesive when I'm doing a fabric collage, just because it has a tackiness to it, and I'll share more of that later. But it has a top covering, and you saw me just kind of remove that, and now my adhesive is up, and I'm going to lay my pieces wrong side down on this this tacky adhesive, just smoothing it out. I'm going to use a variety of the different colors and elements in this, and also this, it's like a tea-dyed muslin that I have that I'm going to use as some of the sand and some of the hills on this collage. Once all my pieces are laying down, I've covered that back up again with that tissue that I had removed, and then I can press or iron this down and then again remove that. And now this is sticky on the back side of my fabrics, and I can just cut this out. Now this is called Steam a Seam 2. You do not use steam when you're attaching your fabric to the product, but you will use steam later when you're doing the other final pressing. I've got all my pieces kind of laid out now, and I've got my little elements, the houses and the little fishies that I'm going to be using. And now I'm just going to create my landscape or my seascape just by layering and covering things up. I do want to have the water is going to be more at the bottom of this, and then I'm going to create some land and then the sky. The fish are going to be way at the bottom. Again, I'm removing that paper backing, and then it's tacky or sticky, and that's what I love about this product is you can, because it's just tacky, you can, if you don't like where you're putting it, you can move it and rearrange and just play with it as much as you want, and before you iron it on. Once it's ironed on, this stuff really sticks, which is another nice quality about it. I use Heat and Bond Light a lot when I'm working too. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I do use that a lot. And that is a little bit less expensive than this, but it doesn't have that tacky quality. So, you know, I just kind of use them whatever I'm working on, if one works better than the other. Just kind of continuing with this. I don't show all of this background, but I'm still working on the little C, and then covering up most of my muslin. I decided to cut some of the fishes out and arrange them on the bottom. Next, I'm working on my land, just pretty much the same way, just cutting my pieces and laying them out, trimming where I need to. Once I have my whole area covered, I'm going to put these little houses on, these little beach huts. I already have my moon in the sky. I've taken that backing away, and I'm going to press this really good. And now this is where you're going to want to turn your steam on. And then just take your time and just iron this whole thing down so it's tacky on this background or this muslin that I'm using. And now I want to take this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to thread doodle just around some of these, the applique elements, the little beach huts. And I also go around some of the fishes. I'm using a navy thread for this, and I do have my feed dogs dropped. And I'm just kind of doing some wiggly lines and just doing some little, almost like you would do marking if you had a pen. Just adding an arc above the door. And I'm going around these houses twice, and I'm doing a little bit of a wavy line the second time around just to kind of give it more of a sketchy look. And I just chose some of the fish that I'm also going around. I don't go around all the fish, but I do on some of them just to make them pop a little bit. And this is what it looks like with all the thread doodling done. And now I just received some wonderful stencils from a viewer, and I want to add some texture looking things just on some of this the land. I'm using a makeup brush and some distress ink for this and just pressing it through that stencil. I'm going to list the brushes and the ink that I'm using down below. This distress ink is not washable, but this one that I'm using is. I don't recommend washing my wall hangings. I usually just use a lint brush when I need to freshen them up a bit. And this stencil just has almost, I don't know, just like a real rocky kind of look to it. So I'm just adding that to some of this ground. Putting that backing back on and making my sandwich. And there's one more thing I want to add before I take it to the sewing machine and quilt. I also received some wonderful just netting or tulle with this little package of Happy Mail. And this one happens to be the same color as that sea. It was like a teal color. And I thought this would be fun to just lay on the top of this. It has a sparkle to it too, so it just really adds just a neat look, just an undersea look to it. And then I'm going to put this whitish netting on the top of this just to hold everything into place. I mean, I know that the paperback adhesive, the Steam 2 also holds it, but I just want to cover this. And you don't really see it. It's, you know, it pretty much is a clear look once it's on there. And now it's ready to, after I put a few pins in, I'm going to be taking this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to show you just the easy quilting that I'm going to be doing. I do have my walking foot on, and I'm actually using an invisible thread on the top, and the bottom I am using a navy blue thread, so you don't really see a lot of the quilting on the bottom or on the backing. And I am just doing a little bit of a wavy line. I'm not doing a super straight line on that, and I'm going to be doing a lot of these horizontal quilt lines, approximately a ½ inch apart, maybe 3/4 of an inch apart. I do have my gauge there, so I'm kind of following my previous stitch line, and again I'm just slowly doing this. You can see the netting there, just making everything is smooth on the top and smooth underneath. The walking foot is wonderful if you're going to be doing any of this type of a work. And here's what it looks like. It's just like a horizontal kind of lines. I think it really adds a lot to the project. You don't, with the invisible thread, you really don't see the different, you know, just kind of blends all in, and it makes for a great way to, because it's so multicolored on the top. Now it's on to just trimming. I just want to trim up my sides. I'm going to face this instead of bind it. You cut 4 5-inch squares and turn them into triangles by folding them. And then your sides and your top are cut 1 inch shorter by 2.5 inches wide, and then you fold those. First you lay down your little triangles, 1 in each corner, so the raw edges are matching or out. And the folded edges in. And then you lay your long strips on top of those triangles. And again, this is cut shorter than the distance, so they're going to be a little bit shorter in the corners. And you'll see it pretty good when I do the bottom one here. And again, just laying it right on top of that corner piece. I'm going to pin this into place, and then I'm going to stitch this approximately 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And once it's stitched, I'm going to clip my corners and then just turn it. I want to roll this so you don't see the facing at all. And then this will go back to my sewing. I'm going to press it, and then this will go back to my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch this down approximately 1/2 inch away. Just giving this a quick press. And I have it all stitched, and it just adds for a seamless, binding or facing, finishes it off really slick. And then you automatically have a little pockets on the top to put your dowel or whatever to hang it. It just slips right in underneath these little triangles. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. I do have some pictures at the end. I hope you have a great week. Bye for now.